Alright, class, here we go with a quiz review game. Or not really a review game, but a review over the French Revolution, Chapter 7, Section 1 and 2. And what I'm going to do right now is just go through the quiz, kind of work through the answers with you a little bit, and then hopefully you remember a little bit what's coming at you for tomorrow or for today whenever you watch this. Okay, so here we go. Alright, so we talked about Marie Antoinette. She was the Austrian princess who married Louis the 16th, and Louis and her were very young and not really ready to rule. Marie Antoinette was a very young girl. She liked to look pretty. And to kind of pass the time for her, what she liked to do was spend all of her time making play productions, huge spending costs, and she liked to gamble. She was a gambler, and it said that she lost millions of dollars gambling. Okay, so a financial crisis, partly because of Marie Antoinette's gigantic spending, resulted in Louis the XVI having to call the Estates General into session to try and solve the financial crisis. Okay, and the delegates of the Third Estate, remember, they made up 97 to 98% of the population of France, and they paid around 50% of their total income in taxes, while the other 2.5–3% of the population paid less than 2% of their taxes. Okay, so the third estate was very upset, and they felt they should have a say in the decision-making process as they tried to make a new government, and so they wanted to be equal with the First Estate and the Second Estate, and they felt they should have the same amount of voting privileges. Okay, also, we're talking about a new government coming into place. Well, if something isn't new, it's the opposite. It's old, right? So the First and the Second Estate wanted to keep the old regime. They wanted to keep the old way of doing things, and that because that worked for them, and they make a lot of money, and they're never down. They're always up. They've always got plenty to eat and plenty of money, while the rest of the population suffers. All right, so another one, although not a member of the Third Estate, Emmanuel Joseph Sayes was a spokesman for this group who recommended that its delegates should name themselves, the National Assembly, and this National Assembly is going to pass laws and make reforms in the name of the French people. Okay, and when this National Assembly of the Third Estate, the delegates of the Third Estate, they tried to go have a meeting, and they were locked out of their meeting spot at the Palace of Versailles. So what happens? Well, they get stuck into a little racquetball court, an indoor tennis court, and they have what's called the tennis court oath. It says, hey, we're going to stand here, and we're pledging our oath to everybody that we're not leaving until we get a new constitution, a new constitutional government. Okay, also the noblemen of the Estates General and the clergy, of the Second Estate, obviously, the clergy of the First Estate, obviously, they didn't want any part of this new National Assembly, but the king made them join the National Assembly, okay? All right, so there's the first 6 questions or so. We'll get you started on the quiz, and we'll go from there. We'll try and upload this and see if everything works, and hopefully you got 6 answers to the quiz right there. All right, we're back. You thought we were done. We're not done. I'm going to quickly give you some of the answers to the matching on the quiz. All right, so pay attention, rapid fire. Here we go. Okay, so obviously We were talking about the reign of terror is going down, and this is all brought about by a person named Maximilien Robespierre, who incited a lot of the revolutionary causes, and who eventually himself was had his own head chopped off. But he is kind of the start of the French Revolution. Is the reign of terror brought on by Maximilien Robespierre. Okay. Another person who brought about the revolution is Jean-Paul Marat. Remember, according to the movie, and well, according to what actually happened, but in the movie as well, he was the editor of the newspaper, had his own newspaper, very inflammatory upon the government, and eventually anybody whose name he wrote in the paper they were taken away and publicly executed. And eventually he was actually stabbed to death in his own little bathtub at home. Remember, he had a little skin disease that kept him in his bath most of the time. Okay. Georges Danton was another influential figure of the French Revolution. He, of course, like just about everybody else, was beheaded. And he kind of put that his severed head would be well worth seeing. That was his line as he was being executed. Okay, and then of course, we talked about the guillotine being a humane way of executing people when it was, very public and very grotesque. The sans-culottes. The sans-culottes were remember they wore the sashes on their arms, and they were kind of the backbone, and for the revolution. They would just bust into the prisons and take people and have their own little trials. Culotte is even in today, culotte is a style of pants that I guess girls wear. I'm not obviously real familiar with that, but that's kind of where this came from. The culottes is how they wear their pants, kind of like a high breeches style. Okay. The rest of the matching should be fairly easy if you just do a little deduction on your own part. Okay, such as this person wrote that the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen is not right because it didn't give the same rights to women as men. Well, of course, a man isn't going to write that. A woman did. So, ding, ding, ding. Find the woman's name in the matching and put that one on that question. Okay, so I've given you quite a few questions on the quiz, easy quiz, and we had about an 8 to 9 minute study review. So hopefully you all saw it, and hopefully you all brought your headphones, and good luck to you, and hopefully that you looked at the essay question the essay questions before you came to class today. So good luck.